With Joe Biden ramping up his campaign efforts for over these next few months leading up until November, all we're going to be hearing about is how all the problems in regards to the economy, in regards to the border crisis, in regards to foreign policy, is all due to the fact that was all in place already due to the previous administration.
He's making the point that the factors that caused inflation to climb to 9% were in place when he took office.
All right, so we're just going to go through 3 different articles on 3 different topics on each of these, discussing how Biden did cause all the problems that he is currently experiencing and that he is going to have to compete with if he wants to get reelected come this November. First things first is one of you decided to comment on my my lips. Looks like I'm wearing some lip gloss or something like that. Listen, guys, here's what it is. I live in Florida. In Florida, you love going to the beach a lot. Sometimes when you're at the beach, you have a few adult beverages, you end up getting your lips burned, and so I might kick on that chapstick right now. So just to kind of debunk your old nice lip gloss thing, yeah, great comment there. All right, let's go and dive into these articles. The first one is by Joel Pollack over at Breitbart, discussing 13 Trump policies that Biden did reverse, making war more likely. Let's go and go over this. Please hang with me because I know it's going to be a lot of reading to debunk Biden and his minions' claim that everything that is currently happening, all the bad stuff in America and the world right now, is due to Trump. The first policy reversal by Biden was restoring funding to the UNRWA and the Palestinians. Trump signed the Taylor Force Act, which prevents the U.S. from funding the Palestinian Authority while it subsidized terrorism. Trump also ended funding to the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, or also the UNRWA, which encourages anti-Israel and anti-Semitic radicalism. Biden went around the Taylor Force Act and restored funds to the UNRWA, which had employees involved in the October 7th attacks. Second one being dropping sanctions on the Nord Stream pipeline. Despite Biden, the Democrats, and the media claiming for years that Trump was a puppet of Russian President Vladimir Putin, Biden reversed Trump's sanctions on Russia's Nord Stream 2 pipeline. He held a summit with Putin in Geneva. Before meeting with Zelensky of Ukraine, Russia sensed weakness, especially after the botched Afghanistan pullout and invaded Ukraine. Third reversal was rejoining the corrupt UN Human Rights Council. Trump pulled the U.S. out of the Human Rights Council, HRC, which had become little more than a vehicle for anti-Israel and anti-American resolutions, and a way for autocracies like Russia, Iran, Cuba, and China to sanitize their human rights records. Russia invaded Ukraine without concern for the HRC in 2022. The Biden administration belatedly worked with other nations to kick Russia out of it. Number 4, trying to restore the Iran nuclear deal. President Barack Obama negotiated a weak nuclear deal that gave Iran billions of dollars in cash plus billions more in sanctions relief, which would have allowed Iran to emerge as a nuclear power after roughly a decade. Trump pulled out of the deal. Biden sent envoy Rob Malley, later suspended over a security breach, to negotiate with Iran. Iran strung the U.S. along while accelerating nuclear enrichment. Number 5, taking Houthis off the terrorism list. Trump listed the Houthis, a rebel group in Yemen armed by Iran, as a foreign terrorist organization. Biden immediately removed the Houthis from the terrorism list, ostensibly to facilitate humanitarian aid to Yemen, but also as a gesture to Iran and a snub to Saudi Arabia. The Houthis contained their terror. Today, the Houthis are attacking international shipping in the Red Sea, disrupting global supply chains. Number 6, ending Iran sanctions. Trump imposed a variety of sanctions against Iran, which Biden immediately reversed. The result was that Iran was able to access billions of assets as well as world markets. It used the money to fund its various terror organizations abroad. The Houthis, Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and various Iraqi militias, all of which have attacked Israel. The latter have also targeted American soldiers, with little response from Biden. Number 7, embracing a Palestinian state. Trump's peace plan for the Middle East succeeded because he did not place a Palestinian state in the center of it. He offered the Palestinians $50 billion in investment if they would end extremism and accept Israel's right to exist. When they refused, he pressed ahead and peace talks with the other Arab states, and succeeded. In contrast, Biden reportedly blew up Saudi-Israeli peace talks in 2023 by insisting on a Palestinian state. Number 8, stalling the Abraham Accords. Biden never formally opposed the Abraham Accords, although Biden officials were initially reluctant to use them, but there has been no process since Trump left office. Not one Arab country has been added to the list of participants. This is because the Biden administration reverted to the failed approach in which their peace must depend on a Palestinian state, state, and the Palestinians effectively have a veto over peace in the region. Number 9, revoking sanctions on the ICC. Trump issued sanctions on the International Criminal Court, ICC, and its officials, freezing their U.S. assets and barring them from entering the U.S. Biden revoked those sanctions, though the administration acknowledged the ICC's anti-American and anti-Israel bias. Today, the ICC is seeking warrants against Israeli leaders over the war against Hamas, setting a precedent that makes it impossible to fight terrorism. Number 10, lifting sanctions on Venezuela. Trump imposed sanctions on Venezuela because of Nicolas Maduro's human rights abuses and autocratic behavior. But Biden gave Venezuela sanctions relief last year, allowing it to sell oil and gas easily on the world markets again, and allowing Iran to reap the benefits of building refineries there. As Breitbart News noted at the time, Iran could potentially use the additional fossil fuel revenues to fund the terrorist proxies. Number 11, opposing Israel at the United Nations. Trump defended Israel at the UN Security Council after President Barack Obama allowed an anti-Israel resolution to pass that declared even the Jewish presence of the Jewish quarter of Jerusalem to be illegal. Biden likewise allowed a UN Security Council resolution to pass that separated a hostage deal from a ceasefire, effectively adopting a Hamas bargaining position and encouraging it to harden its demands. Number 12, threatening to withhold weapons from Israel. Trump made it clear that the U.S. would allow Israel to do whatever it needed to do to defend itself from terrorist groups and from enemy states. Biden threw that into doubt from the outset and has now withheld a bomb shipment from Israel, with a warning that he will withhold artillery as well if Israel dares to defeat Hamas. Biden also restrained Israel from responding to a direct Iranian missile attack. And number 13, the final one, sanctioning Israelis. Biden has imposed sanctions on Israel, ostensibly on extremist settlers. The terms of Biden's sanctions are so broad, however, that they could apply to a much larger population of Israelis. The sanctions reward the anti-Israel boycott, divestment, sanctions, BDS movement, which the Trump administration called anti. At the time of war, the sanctions also signaled to Hamas and other terrorists that they are winning. Real quick, guys, I will get back into this conversation, but first things first, if you do love this content or if you do want to follow along, kind of see what I ramble about in any future events to come, do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button, maybe give me a thumbs up, notification bell, that way you're notified every single time that I put out a new video. Let's get back to this topic right now. Now, Biden is doing his best to pretty much play both sides when we are talking about this Israeli or Hamas war that is happening over there right now. But this just goes to show, if we were over in Israel, we are lucky that Israel still considers us an ally, considering the fact that Biden has done everything in his power to help out all these terrorist groups and then also Iran in their efforts to destroy Israel. I don't see how you can see it any other way. The fact that these college protests are happening right now in support of Palestine is ridiculous. They are all misinformed on what is actually going on right now. Israel is the victim, and they're doing everything they can to make sure that another October 7th does not happen. The next article is going to be outlining how Biden has been attacking American energy. And we're not just talking about gas prices. We're talking about the fact that prices for your electricity going up, your natural gas going up, is all due to these things that Biden has been putting in place. He could sit there and claim all day long that this is Putin's hike on gas. Then that is complete bullshit. We are 100% energy independent prior to Biden destroying our energy. So this one is from EJ Antoni over at the Heritage Foundation, titled, Biden latest attack on American energy is costing your family. Now, quick note on this. This article is from September of 2023, but I still think applies to what we are looking at today in regards to these energy prices. In order to keep this as brief as possible, I'm pretty much going to be picking a few paragraphs out of this article. That way I'm not reading the entire thing off, just to kind of show what Biden has been doing to destroy American energy. On his first day in office, Biden canceled the Keystone XL pipeline and issued what was supposed to be a temporary moratorium on all oil and natural gas activities in Anwar. But now he has canceled all leases and permits there, closing off one of the nation's most energy-rich areas. This unwise maneuver follows closely on the heels of the administration's ban on shipping liquefied natural gas by rail, by blocking transport of domestic natural gas via additional pipelines and now railroads. The president is simultaneously increasing the nation's dependence on energy imports, driving up energy prices and increasing countless costs throughout the chemical and manufacturing industries. While about 80% of the world derives their fossil fuel-based chemical feedstocks from crude oil, America gets about 80% of its feedstocks from its abundant reserves of inexpensive, clean, natural gas. This gives American industry about a 70% cost savings on feedstocks, which are passed to consumers on countless items. Since Biden took office, every energy source has seen a dramatic increase in price. Gasoline, 60%, diesel, 47%, natural gas, 25%, and propane, 23%. These increases, combined with a 70% increase in the price of coal, have also driven electricity prices up. Those higher electricity prices are also the result of Biden administration mandates that force unreliable energy sources into the nation's electricity grid. That's another cost that ultimately gets passed to consumers. And these costs are certainly adding up during Biden's tenure. The average American family is spending about $2,400 more on energy today than when he took office. That means families' energy bills have increased more than a third in less than 3 years. Now, a quick note on this energy, you think about it with gas prices, especially mentioning how diesel was up 47%. Think about this. Who transports our goods? Even though this isn't the sole cost of the inflation that we are seeing at the grocery stores, guess what? If it costs more money for these trucks to deliver products into our stores, they are going to have to charge more. So yes, this is going to contribute a little bit to the prices that we are paying when we're going to the grocery store. Consequently, Americans have been forced to import more oil. Even with the addition of this energy from abroad, private oil stocks are still falling almost 800,000 barrels per day because we simply aren't producing enough domestically. Privately owned stockpiles haven't been this low since 1985. Thanks to Biden, the government's oil stock in the Strategic Petroleum Reserve is also way down, almost 290 million barrels or 45% since he took office. Reduced production and reserves jeopardize Americans' ability to adequately meet a crisis. Should one arise, prices would soar even higher than their current elevated levels. You know, Sarah Palin famously back in, what was it? It was like 2008, drill baby drill.
Drill baby drill.
They made fun of us for that, but I guarantee there are so many Americans right now who are paying a shit ton in gas prices that they're like, yeah, let's drill, baby, drill. I'm ready to get my gas prices down. And everyone says, it's a world market. That's what happens. If America were to tap in and use its energy resources to drill for oil and actually export these, not only would it be able to help out the American economy, but it would also help out the global economy. Think about all these European countries who we could be exporting to, being one of the mass exporters, helping them out during this Russia-Ukraine conflict. But instead, we're reliant on OPEC, of course, and they are cutting their resources back as well, too. So between them doing that, and then us also not producing the way that we should be here in America, you are going to see your energy prices going up. The final issue that I am going to cover is going to be talking about that border. Biden sitting here saying, I can't do anything about it, even though he did plenty in his first 100 days in order to create this crisis. Now, this I initially got from Politico, and it was a link to a PDF for the Senate Republican Conference. Here's just the first 100 days, which caused this border crisis that Biden claims he has no control over. In Biden's first 100 days in office, he took more than 94 executive actions on immigration. Those actions include stopping the construction of the border wall, attempting to halt deportation for 100 days, suspending new enrollments in Migrant Protection Protocols, MPP, aka Remain in Mexico, terminating asylum cooperative agreements, ACAs, with Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador, ending prompt asylum case review, PACR, for non-Mexicans, and humanitarian asylum review program, HARP, for Mexicans. This is even mentioned the fact about Title 42 ending, and everyone's claiming it's not the pandemic anymore. We don't need this in place. It was hindering the amount of illegal immigrants who are crossing the border right now. Yes, this is Biden and Mayorkas creating this problem right now, even though they deny all day long, just so they could get their disastrous bill passed, which is not going to even see the House floor, which I think will actually just open up the flow for them to allow immigrants. And it's like, instead of having them, open up gates through the Constantine wire, it's like, all right, cool, we got this in place right now. Come straight through the front gates. We are allotted this many thousand people to come across before I decide to shut the border down. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I greatly appreciate it. I do ask if you love these rants to follow along, or even if you're on the other side and you don't like some of the things I said, follow along so you can comment along and let everyone know what's going on in your mind, because ultimately, I love people coming together. We might disagree on a lot of things. Just state your piece, what you're thinking, or whatever it might be. Thank you again so much, guys, and I will catch you on the next one.